welcome back to the Edu Talk Pod. Today, we have a distinguished guest, Karen Tan. She has over 3 decades of experience in banking and finance and is currently serving as the Managing Director at VP Bank. Join us as we explore fundamental financial concepts such as budgeting, investments, and more. Also, this episode is sponsored by Tim Gunn Math.
Hi, everyone. Karen's my name. I'm a mother of two and a grandmother of two.
Wow.
I've been in the banking industry all my life, a good past 40 years now. And I have my sports and hobbies are a little bit, probably quite different from many people out there. I love skiing. I also do taiko, which is a Japanese drum for exercise. And
The big ones.
the big one,
big
yes,
Japanese
yes,
drums,
the big
yeah.
Japanese taiko,
Yeah.
but of course they have smaller, different shape. They call
Yeah.
it okedo, they call it
Yeah.
nagano. So
Uh-huh.
we play with that for
Mhm.
exercise and fun. And I also like to cook. So these are my favorite hobbies.
Yeah. All right, cool. So today we'll be talking about financial literacy, and my first question to you will be like, in your opinion, why do you think teens tend to overspend and spend without thinking so much?
Good question. I think it's because they didn't have to work to earn that money.
Mhm,
So they
yeah.
don't feel the value and the pain
Mm.
of spending the hard-earned money.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot easier. And it's also about value system, I reckon, because it depends on how parents give them pocket money, how much pocket money are they given. For example, sometime I feel that parents who are very busy, working really hard, they tend to give a lot more pocket money as a little bit of assuasion to their
Oh
guilt.
yeah. Oh yeah.
For
yeah.
not spending enough time for the kids.
Yeah.
So they probably want to give the kids a little bit more to spend to
Yeah.
feel good factor.
Yeah, I see. Comparing maybe us kids now to when you were kids, do you think there's a difference as to like our spending habits and stuff?
Oh yes, big time.
Mhm.
During our time when I was in primary school, I only get 50 cents a day.
Oh yeah.
For pocket
yeah.
money.
But like inflation too, right?
Yeah,
Accounting
exactly.
inflation,
By the
yeah.
time I'm in secondary school, I get $2 a day.
Yeah.
So when I go to so-called college, it's probably like $50. But today, everything is of course a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
However, I think the kids are really getting a lot more.
Mhm.
I know my kids are getting about $200 a month for their
wow,
pocket
yeah.
money.
Yeah.
So that's about 20 years ago. But
Mhm.
today, I'm not sure how much the pocket money is for the children.
I get about 400, 350, 400, depending on the weekend. Like if I have to settle lunch and dinner by myself, then my mom gives me more. And then I
Right.
get, like a little bit less.
So that amount is probably enough for you for your transportation and
Yeah.
food in
Food.
school, right?
Not in school. Okay, like now I get around 450, but then because I work, so I have like additional income to spend on my wants and my desires, which is a lot.
Yeah, that helps. See, the minute you earn money, I feel that
Yeah.
your value system will change.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you realize that that money wasn't so easy to
earn. It doesn't
Yeah,
like
so
come out
you
of thin air.
so you be a bit careful when you spend as well.
agree.
Yeah.
So I think like maybe moving on, maybe you want to talk a bit about how like teenagers should be spending their money. How much? Okay, so maybe I just joined a job. Like for me, I just started working, right? And my income is coming in. What's the best way I can budget my money? Like do you think it's like a percentage of how much I should save, how much I should spend? Like what's your opinion?
Okay, so I feel that financial literacy is really important and that can be taught from very young, as young as in elementary school. And by the time they're secondary school, it is important that they know a few basics of what financial literacy is. I would put it into 5 principles. The first is earning money. If you don't earn that money, you don't have the money to spend, right? So earn. The second one would be save or invest. Yeah, either which way. The third one would be protect. How do you protect that hard-earned money? Yeah. The fourth one would be wants and needs and wants. Yeah. Your spending.
Yeah.
So we will clarify what's needs and wants. And the last one would be borrowing. So as you grow up, you probably want to own a car. You might want to own an apartment. So you will need to borrow money. So these are the 5 principles that anyone, I think by the time you're a teenager, you should start looking into it carefully.
All right, I see. So maybe we can go through like the 5 principles in depth.
Right. So starting with earning, you need to want to know how much money do you want to earn.
Yeah.
And that means you might need to also look into enhancing your skill. Yeah, looking at identifying what are the career path you want,
Yeah.
how much money is enough for you, or
Yep.
how much money do you want to earn so that you be able to spend, right?
Yeah, I see.
Second one, we talk about save and invest. There's a big difference between saving and investing. So saving is putting money aside, and this money kept aside could be for rainy days, but it could also be for your future spending, like when you need to buy a home or a car.
So it's like an emergency fund kind of, but also can be used for like future ones.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
I see.
And versus invest is different. That means you will put that money aside and totally not spend it, but you want it to grow like a nest egg. And that could become your retirement fund someday.
Is that CPF?
No.
CPF
definitely
is
not
different.
CPF. No,
Okay.
CPF again is another
different
separate factor.
thing.
Yeah.
So when you mean like investing, what exactly is that? Like how does it work?
Okay, so let's say investing, it could simply be buying a single stock, a simple stock, a good stock that you could ask your dad or your mom or good friends who have got financial background, and that stock either you hope that it will have a capital gain.
Yeah.
With inflation over time, the stock can
Yeah.
grow, right? Or every year it gives you a percentage of dividend. So right now, at current interest rate, is giving us about 5 to 6%. So investment is that if you think of it, compounding the value of it, it can be quite substantial. So using, let's say, $1,000 to invest, and it's giving you a 5% return. That means every year you're getting $50 on the 1,000.
Wow.
Yeah. By the second year, your 1,050 would be giving you a $55 return.
Oh, wow.
Then you will be a 1,105, right?
Yeah.
So the compounding effect is quite scary and it's quite powerful, because in 20 years' time, your $1,000 could be $2,000 or more.
Yeah. Oh, so this is why you should save.
Yes.
Or invest.
Invest. This is why you should invest.
Oh.
So you should put some for saving, you should put some for investment
and some
as
for
well.
investment. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I see.
The third one we said protect. So what is protect? Protection is like insurance. For example, you need to put some money in insurance, because the younger you are, the cheaper the premium would be, right? And who knows? We never know when we're going to fall sick, or we could have an accident, we could hurt ourselves, we could lose our income flow forever if we are incapacitated. So this insurance could help us along the way.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's really important, because put it this way, cancer is a very common illness today. It hits anyone at any age. Do not think that it only hits someone older. Even little kids can get it. And when it does, the cost of medical treatment is horrendous. So having an insurance would really help defray the cost of medical treatment.
Okay.
So protection is important. The same as you buy a car or a house, you need to buy insurance as well.
In case you crash the car or like fire.
Exactly. And then, so we go on to spending, right? So the fourth principle would be your spending. So need to differentiate between needs and want. What do you really, really need? For example, necessities. Your pair of shoe could, run kind of like holes, and you need to buy a new pair. Or is your friend bought this new pair of special Nike and you want one too?
Yeah.
Or a Lululemon, that looks so chic. Yeah. So that's the difference between needs and wants. Yeah. So you really need to change your pair of shoe or your clothes, or you really want it because peer pressure, or the latest fashion in town.
I see.
So that's the difference with needs and want, and how do you spend it, and spending it wisely.
I see. Okay.
Last but not least is borrowing. So that can come along when you decide that you want to invest in a car or a house. And again, can you afford to do the repayment? So it's also, again, important. You want a car because my friend have a car, or you want a car because you really need it, because there's transportation is inconvenient for you, especially like in Australia, where transportation is expensive. Public buses is expensive and inconvenient, but car is cheap.
Yeah.
Right? So you might need a car to run to and fro school.
Yeah.
However, to buy a car, even if it's cheap, $4,000 or $5,000, if you don't have savings, you still need to borrow it. Yeah.
And you borrow the money from the bank.
or your parents, I guess.
Oh, your parents, yeah.
Yeah, but you need to repay
Yeah.
and there should be interest involved.
Mm.
But somehow, if you're 18 above, I think whenever you want to borrow, I think you start thinking about borrowing from the bank, not from the parents, because you should learn to be responsible how
For
to
your
repay
own-
back
yep.
as well.
So under the second principle, you mentioned save or invest. And as someone who's like, not very good with my money, I'm not very financially literate. I was wondering, so after I earn some income, I have to use my post-tax income, right?
Yeah.
To decide how much I should be spending, saving, and investing.
That's right.
So can I ask you like what percentage of it? How do I budget my money?
Okay, the basic simple rule would be a 50, 30, 20. Yeah. So 50% would go to your necessities, your utilities, your bills, your food, whatever you need, transportation and all. Right? 30% would go into your wants, needs and what you want to buy, what you want to spend on, and 20% should go into your savings. And part of it could be your insurance as well.
All right.
Of course, this 30-20 is not a hard and fast rule. We can always adjust it. But you feel that you should save more and spend less, excellent.
Just tweak it.
Yeah, tweak it
Alright.
as you wish. Yeah.
All right. I see.
The real basic principle I feel that's really important is minimum you should be saving 10 to 15%
Of your
of your
income.
after-tax income. Yeah. And then you should consider at least 5% to your insurance. That should be your monthly payment. You could pay the
Okay.
12-month installment.
All
It
right.
should go to insurance.
Insurance.
And try to buy a little bit when you're young. Of course, you don't have a lot of income when you're younger. So you could buy a smaller insurance to start with. As your income grow, increase your insurance over time, because that means you have more to spend, right? and insurance is the younger you buy, the cheaper it is.
Oh, I see. So it's
Yeah.
like proportional to your income?
Yes. So
see.
as your income goes higher, you should buy
Okay.
more insurance.
More
Yes.
insurance.
Yeah. And of course, again, when we talk about insurance, again, there are various types. There is the savings plan or endowment, as they call it. There is a life plan and there's a medical plan. Most of the time, we don't buy medical plan because our company, that organization that we work for, would cover us medically. It does help with CPF. We have the MediSave. Yeah.
I
So
see.
you should buy more on your life plans.
savings.
Yeah, life plans.
Okay.
And another one that you should always consider is what we call the rider, especially when you're older. The rider is where you won't get your money back, but you will get covered for any accidents or for any major illnesses.
Covered, but not your money back.
Yeah, you like life plan, life insurance, you get your money back. It's like long-term savings.
Oh.
At some point, you can surrender and withdraw it.
Oh.
But in the meantime, you're being covered, protected,
Okay.
by the insurance company.
Yeah.
But the rider is an add-on. So
Uh-huh.
this add-on is like for incidentals, for accidents, for major illnesses, for cancer treatments. So this rider is where you won't get your money back if you are perfectly well. But the minute you're incapacitated, you can draw
Cover,
upon
full
that. Yeah, it
cover.
will cover for your medical needs.
Oh, no matter
Yes.
how expensive.
No, there is a limit.
Oh, there
It
is a
depends on how
limit.
much you buy. Yeah.
Like just checking, if I ever like get ill, let's say like I go for I get maybe cancer or something, touch wood. How much does medical treatment range from? Because I actually have no clue like what are the
Yeah.
like what are the boundaries? Like,
Wonderful question. So I know for a fact, a girlfriend of mine who had pancreatic cancer, she was probably in her early 50s only. And she lasted about slightly more than a year in the hospital. The bill came to 1.5 million. And thank goodness, her insurance was exactly covering her for 1.5 million before she passed on. So imagine if she didn't have that amount of insurance, I don't know if she could live that extra 1 year plus and how
Yeah.
much burden it would be on the caregiver and family.
Yeah. Also, if you like, if you can't afford the treatment, it becomes debt. Is that what
Yeah.
happens?
Well,
or you just don't get the treatment.
you don't.
get
I
access to
don't think you get the treatment because you have to pay
Yeah,
your bill every
there's-
month to the hospital too, right?
I see. So there's no like
Yeah.
financial plans. I mean, there's no like hospitals that would like pay for it for you. No.
No.
Oh my god, $1.5 million is a lot of money. Wow.
I could share with you another one. So this is a ex-colleague of mine. He has 3 kids, and his elder kid, about 8 years old, had a fall at home. There was a puddle of water that the helper
Yeah.
left behind, I think.
Oh yeah.
He slipped and fell, and he went into a coma state. Same thing. He was in a hospital for about 2 years.
Mhm.
It costed the family 1 million. And it
$1
was,
million.
and the 1 million, again, same thing, was paid by insurance, but it was like they were all getting ready to sell the house to continue to hope that he will come
yeah.
around or he will wake up.
Yeah.
But he
oh
passed
my.
on, just at the brink of that 1 million usage.
Well, also like just to check, like if when you buy insurance, you're not paying $1 million for the insurance,
No,
right?
definitely not.
You're
Definitely
paying
not.
like significantly less.
Less, significantly less. So basically, you're probably paying a very small sum. For example, maybe at your age, okay, using my daughter as example then. So when they were young, I started buying a very small insurance at 30,000 education insurance. So monthly, I was paying like $50.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
So, but that's only 30,000 to cover their education university.
Mhm.
At the point, I thought it would be around that amount. But
Mhm.
of course, by the time they go to university, it costs a lot more.
Yeah.
But of
Yeah.
course, over the years, I increased the insurance coverage.
Uh-huh.
So at some point when they're in their teens, I probably pay about 1,500 a year.
Uh-huh.
And then by the time they're adult, the premium would have gone up. So we add on more insurance, and that costs another about $3,000 a year. So it can be incrementally going up, but that's a small insurance I'm talking about.
I see.
So if you buy bigger insurance, it can cost you like 20,000 a year.
Oh,
But still, it's not so bad. Imagine if you pay 20,000 a year, 20 years is 400,000, but you might be covered 2 million.
oh, wow.
So that's the
like
difference. Yeah,
pay now,
premium versus insurance.
receive later. kind of
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. So for that
Mhm.
400,000 that I pay, assuming it's a life plan and they are fine, they didn't need it for their health matters and all that. By the time they're in their 60s, they could be getting $1 million. But of
Yeah.
course, we have to factor in inflation as well.
Yeah, factor in inflation.
Yeah.
So that's like insurance, which is to protect
Yes.
you for
Protect you from
emergencies.
exactly
basically.
emergency, medical,
okay.
whatever you may need. And the good news is that if it's a savings plan or life plan, after
Mhm.
20, 30 years, you can always surrender and withdraw it for whatever you need to use it for.
Okay.
So perhaps you really want to buy a nice house, yeah?
So maybe when
That
you're
money can
70,
be
you
used
become a
for-
millionaire.
Millionaire today, I think
Billionaire.
unfortunately is nothing anymore.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Millionaire. Extra money. Suddenly you're like 17, you're like, wow, I have so much money now. What am I gonna do with all my money? And
Yeah.
that's different from like investing. So
Yes, it's different.
practical.
Therefore, there's a protection
Yeah.
that, like I said, you could start at 5%, maybe when
Mhm.
your income is low.
Yeah.
And as your income grows, that 5% will be a bit
invest.
more significant,
I
right?
see. I see. I think for me, I'm very curious to learn like how do I start investing at my age? Can I start investing at my age?
Oh, yes, certainly
Yeah.
you can.
All
So, for example, let's say, your ang bao money that
Yeah.
you've been saving, your salary that you might put 20%
Yeah.
aside. Let's say you can set as little as 1,000
Mhm.
or as much as 5,000.
I don't think I have $1,000.
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
like $100.
So if you have $1,000,
Mm-hmm.
you can look into the stock market. Yeah,
Mhm.
a safe blue chip that is government link product, for example. And
Could you give an example of like a website or something?
Well, the stock you could look into. That means you could first you need to open an account with one of the
Okay.
security shops. Yeah, the
Uh-huh.
security firms could be your UOB Hian, your Philips Securities,
I see.
and then the account is free to open anyhow. And then you can do online investing as well. So, or of course, if you said your fund is too little, right? You can then leverage on your parents' account and ask them to buy one stock and put aside for you.
Yeah.
Eventually transfer back to you.
Mhm.
But if you start your own, that's not a bad idea because then you can monitor yourself as well.
I see.
So with $1,000, perhaps, okay, stock market, it goes this way. It's like minimum purchase is 1,000 stocks. So that
1,000
means you could be
stocks.
looking for $1 stock to buy or less, or a penny stock, 50 cents, 70 cents. So let's say 50-cent stock at 1,000 share, that would be $500.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you could buy up to 1,000, that means 2,000 shares, yeah, for $1,000.
Mm.
Then you want to choose some safe stocks to buy. And I would say that choose all the Temasek link companies, perhaps, since we're all Singaporean. And Singapore Temasek link companies are generally
Safer. A
safer.
safer bet.
Yeah, safer bet. And then you look for those that has got dividends as well. So what would be safer bets? Okay, like I know our banking stocks are very good, but they're very expensive. For example, a OCBC share would be $13. A UOB share would be $28.
Oh, and you need to buy so many of them.
You
so
probably
it's
can buy 100, but it's still
Yeah.
too high
It's still
for
really
your
high.
spending, right?
Yeah.
So $13 means it's 13,000
Oh, that's a lot.
for 1,000
That's a
share.
lot of
Yeah,
money.
you probably can buy 100, but that would be 1,003. But if you buy a UOB is $28, then you need 2,800 to buy
I
100
see.
share.
I see.
So you need to see your own budget.
Yep.
Yeah, a DBS with $33, that would be 3,003 for 100
How about
shares.
Bank of Singapore?
Bank of Singapore is under OCBC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's a $13 stock, right?
That's expensive.
The alternative, then you could look at perhaps like there is the Capital Land, there is the Keppel. These are the other Maple Trees. These are the other stocks under the Temasek Group.
I see.
Yeah. So then you might want to choose some utilities. Utilities as in like Singtel, which is telephone company, or Keppel Infrastructure, which is the utilities, which is the power and water that we use and all. And that stock is actually about 50 cents. So you could consider buying 1,000 of that. That will cost you $500, but it's giving you about a 5% return.
Okay.
So that means if you put $1,000, you'll be getting a 10% return, right? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that could be something. It's not a stock that would move up and down a lot. So you don't look for capital gain. It's not speculative, but you look for a consistent return on your investment.
Okay. So that's like
Your
safer
ROI.
because there's a chance that if you invest, you lose the money as well.
Yeah.
I see.
Exactly.
I see.
So someday the good thing about stock is that when they give you the dividend, you can choose to ask for cash, and you can take it out and spend, or you can choose to give it as stock and it retains inside your account. It just snowball.
Wow.
Rolling, right? You just keep rolling it, and it can snowball to pretty decent size.
Wow. That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, isn't it?
Cool.
And the interesting thing, stock is another new conversation, but it's also interesting. So I just want to share an example with you. So when I was maybe about 20 odd years ago, when I first learned to buy a stock, so I bought one, and that stock actually over a few years did double because the value of the stock has gone up. That means I put $2,000 in. They kind of split into two shares. Yeah, become 4 shares, right? So the value actually went to $4,000.
Wow, so your money just like splits.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And it grew. So
Yeah.
it's quite amazing. So that particular stock, I think I really got lucky. And it's one of our staple stock in Singapore as well. So eventually that stock grew to my $2,000. It grew to about $80,000. But don't speculate stock just because I'm telling you this. This is just
I'm just
got lucky. But investment is important. Yes, it's important. Yeah.
Do you ever like invest in risky stuff or no?
Oh, of course I did, and of course I lost money too.
Yeah, it's a bit of a gamble.
Exactly. So speculation is really risky. I'm not saying that you cannot, but I'm saying it must be your spare money.
Yeah, it must
money
be
that you could afford to lose and still, get by life.
Yeah.
You can't be speculating and then you lose that money and then you can't buy your next meal. That would be terrible.
I
Yeah.
see. So the safest thing is just to invest in the safe stocks.
Exactly. Invest in it. To me, investment is more important. Forget about speculation because then it is totally gambling.
Yeah.
So that stock for me was just fortunate. It's not speculation. It was really an investment, but I'm sure it's gone up to this much is because of inflation as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a good 30 years now. So if you put $2,000 aside and save 30 years, it can grow substantially as well.
Wait, and I do this on my MacBook, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to do it on my computer.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I'll get into investing after this episode. It sounds very rewarding.
Yes.
All right.
But of course, doesn't mean the investment has no risk. There is such a thing as the stock can go into zero.
Stock market crash.
Yes, stock market crash. That stock can go into zero as well. So always be prepared that when you are investing, that is really
A
money
chance
that you can
you're-
set aside.
Yeah.
Yeah, and money that you want to save and grow. That's why saving should come in as well.
As well. And then there's investment.
Yes. So
Okay.
if something go all right with your investment, there is still your saving.
Mm.
Yeah, for your rainy days.
Okay, this is like a sidetrack, but how do you invest? Do you invest in houses? Are houses considered investment?
Oh yes, definitely.
Houses
Property
are
is definitely a
considered-
great form of investment. To not today in Singapore,
Uh-huh.
but definitely once upon a
Overseas.
time. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, once upon a time, properties, because it is always considered more solid an investment, and land are scarce in Singapore. So previously, properties, apartment, and houses are very good investment. But today, because of all the rules that we have that's curbing it, I guess because we're getting too many foreigners coming in and they too want to invest in our little island, which is really quite poor in land. We're so scarce
Yeah,
with
and
land.
land and resources.
Yeah, land resources is so scarce that our government have to implement a lot of rules to prevent too much of a speculation in property investment.
I see.
Yeah, because that means people who really need a home may not
Cannot
be able
even
to
get a
afford
house.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
agree.
if the price have gone
It's
up too
gone,
high.
yeah.
Yeah. So with all this regulation in place, it's a bit difficult to invest here now. But at least I think you're entitled to buying a home decently over here.
Yeah.
But speculating will be difficult now.
I
Yeah,
see. I
yeah.
see.
But again, speculation of, property, investing in property is also a form of mini speculation. Because, for example, you might want to say that, for example, I think Australia is an interesting subject. Once upon a time, Perth is a lesser known city. Everyone's working in Sydney. Yeah. So Sydney properties are like 5 times more expensive than Perth. But subsequently, when the properties got too expensive in Sydney, the people in Sydney decided that, hey, when I retire, it's too expensive to live in Sydney.
They want
So
to move to
perhaps I
Perth.
should buy a home in Perth because it's so much cheaper, cost of living is lower. Then they start buying up Perth.
And then the prices go up.
Then the prices will go up,
Yeah.
right? So again, it's all about timing, and
Yeah.
it's about whether you're speculating or you're truly investing. If you're just buying a home for yourself to stay, then you're fine. You're not
Yeah.
speculating. But if you're gonna buy 5, and then the price flew up, and then it collapsed again, then that's risky. So you got to
Yeah.
be prepared for that risk.
Yeah. I know my mom buys like a lot of houses overseas.
Well
Yeah.
done. So that's a good investment.
Yeah.
Yes, that's important. Yes.
How? Yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, like I have a girlfriend who is quite clever with that as well.
Mhm.
So she actually started investing in Manila about 15 years ago. So she bought the apartment. Each apartment was like 100,000 to 200,000 Sing dollars.
Mhm.
But today it's not. Today it's about 600,000-700,000. So over the years, she probably owned like 5 apartments at a pretty decent price. So today, of course, if she sells, she can encash out her investment and have a decent size of income. But she was smart enough to say sell 2 and cash out some, but keep 3 and she keep it for rental.
Oh,
So she
yeah,
has
yeah.
a passive income.
Yeah, that's what my mom is doing, the rental thing.
Yeah, so that you constantly have a
Uh-huh.
passive income.
Okay, I see.
Then you will never worry about not being out of job. Yeah, or
okay.
you could be out of job, not working, but
Mhm.
just collect your passive income and survive on it.
Yeah, that's what mommy wants to do.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
something to learn as well.
I
So
see.
that is truly investment. So
Mhm.
that's another form of looking at it.
Okay. Can I ask you, like, how does inflation play a part in, like, you were saying that your investment, inflation, deflation, what does that mean?
Okay, let's just use dollar and cents and stock to compare.
Mhm.
So, for example, inflation means $1 once upon a time could buy me a whole bowl of noodle, but today I have to pay about $5 for a bowl of, let's say, fishball noodle.
Does the income rise with that as well?
Yes, so
Okay.
income does rise with it, but sometimes it doesn't rise as fast. Your salary may not go over 5
Over
times
5
over the
times,
years,
yeah.
right? So that's called it. That's inflation. So everything,
Oh.
all the costs and prices have
So
inflated.
the value of money would have changed.
Yes, the value of
that
money
way.
will drop, right?
Yeah.
So imagine if I've saved a lot of cash. Yeah, I save $100,000, let's say over time. Then the $100,000, and today if I want to buy something, it's not much, right? Even with my interest and all, the 100,000 value isn't there.
Mm.
So versus, let's say if I bought $100,000 of a property in Manila,
Mhm.
and today it's worth 500,000.
Yeah, then you have like a lot.
Yes, so I probably would have a lot more money, and
Oh.
that's the meaning of inflation.
I see.
So sometimes for stocks, it could go up that way as well.
So inflation is good sometimes. Inflation is good for like stocks and stuff.
Yes, stocks
see.
or yeah, other
see.
asset classes. Yes, yes.
Oh, wow.
That's why you have to balance savings and investment.
How can young people navigate the world of credit cards responsibly and avoid falling into debt traps? And what exactly is a debt trap?
Okay, so I think it's important that parents don't issue any credit card to the kids, except when they are overseas studying. Then they may need a credit card to spend on, right?
Can we differentiate between like credit and debit card? Because I'm currently using a debit card, but I don't know the difference.
Okay. So that's a good question. So a debit card, there is money in there, a limited sum of money that your parents might put in for you or you might put in yourself. Whereas a credit card, depending on if your mom give you a credit card, definitely it's based on her income, not your income. That means that limit can be very big. For usually when a bank issue you a credit card, they issue you based on your income factor. So for example, let's say you Nin at 21 is going to apply for a credit card and your income is $2,000. They're going to give you a credit limit of no more than $30,000.
Credit card.
Yes.
Oh.
But still, that means you can spend up to 30,000.
Which is like way more.
Yes. Whereas if it's your mom applying for a card and she already have credential background and higher income,
Yeah.
they might give her a credit card with a limit of 100,000.
Oh.
Right.
I'll go crazy.
So yes. And if your mom give you a sub card from her main card, your credit limit is also 100,000.
100,000.
Yeah.
I see.
So therefore, it depends on whether you apply or the credit card yourself or your parents give you a sub card. Yeah.
So I should be the one applying, not my mom.
Yes, exactly. And while you are holding a debit card, that's a good news because then there is a limit to how much you can spend. There is a sum of money in that debit card.
Oh.
Yeah. So if there's $1,000, you can't spend beyond $1,000.
Oh. So when your credit card gets declined, it's because you've hit the cap of the amount of. It's so
and
crazy.
then credit card. So now back to spending, young people spending, overspending credit card. So this is so we talk about the limit, right? The fear, the concern of not knowing what is the limit to spend. And the worst thing is if you're overspending what you could afford to pay or your parents could afford to pay, the interest rate charge is like 28% on a daily basis. So assuming you spend 1,500 on your credit card, and from day one you spend, and then on day 31 you're supposed to pay, you don't pay it. So day 32 it become an overdue. They would be charging you around $300 based on 28% on your 1,500.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a lot of.
And that's only 30 over days.
Wow.
So be super duper careful with overspending credit card because the interest that they charge you is crazy. I mean, you think at 28% per annum on 1,500 is only like $300 over dollars, but now they're charging you for 32 days, $300 over dollars.
That's crazy.
And if you can't afford to pay over 12 months,
you're bankrupt.
more than that, right? Yeah.
Wow.
So your 1,500 spend become 300 plus times 12. That's $5,000. That's how they snowball credit cards.
That's crazy.
So therefore, yes, young people should. That's why I said not have credit card. Yeah, and there should be a limit to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and responsible parents must make sure that they shouldn't be giving credit cards so easily to kids or set a limit.
So when are you declared bankrupt?
When you declare bankrupt, when you go to work in the future, your CV, people will do search on you. They will notice that you have a bad record. And in the banking, Singapore financial industries, we all need licensing. You wouldn't be able to get into the banking. Yeah, you won't get your license. But it's not only banking that is under the license group of financial industry today. So are property agents. So are insurance agents. So literally about 80% of Singapore industry is kind of linking to the financial industry. You won't be able to find a job.
So you're declared bankrupt when you have $0 in the bank?
No. So because you can't afford to pay and you don't want to pay, then you declare yourself bankrupt. there will be a record of you.
Oh, so you can still have $100 in the bank but declare bankrupt.
Yeah.
Oh.
No. I think the
Oh.
$100 will be taken away.
Oh, taken away from
In
you.
the bank. In your hand, it might be fine.
Also, as
In
long
the
as you hold
bank,
the money.
yes.
But if,
yes.
so the money in your bank will be declared
If you have a
bankrupt.
car, you have a house, you have a bank account, everything be taken away first to be sold. And then whatever else you owe, then you will be a bankrupt. A real bankrupt.
Jenna and I are like, oh my goodness, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. And you're gonna have a hard time because the record stays with you for the rest of your life.
And that
So it's a bit
accumulates.
like,
Oh,
like you're like a criminal.
Oh, that accumulates when you have a lot of debt.
So that's when come to a point of declaring bankrupt is because they really don't want to pay or can't pay off whatever they owe.
Oh.
So usually I would say people who goes bankrupt are usually businessmen perhaps, or small hawkers and whatever who owe a lot of money due to trying to do a business that's failed and they really can't afford to pay. But for a young person to have to declare bankrupt, that's really, really sad. It can
Or
be
like from
controlled, right?
Or like from health issues, like health, like you can you go into debt from like paying your hospital bills?
You can, but I guess it depends on, again, in Singapore, I suspect if you go to the lowest class and they look at your income background, there will still be healthcare available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah, that's the good thing about Singapore. The healthcare would still have some leniency.
I see. Okay.
Mm.
What are some financial resources or tools that young people can take advantage of to enhance their financial literacy in general?
Young people today are so savvy with the computer, internet. One of the best thing and the easiest thing to do is do some research on it. Yeah, Google, Investopedia.
Investopedia.
And Wikipedia. All this will be able to help you find some resources. I frankly would really highly like to see schools to start financial literacy course for children. It can be a couple of sessions and it can be an add-on session. And I think it's important for children to understand the value of money and how to start learning to save, invest, and as well as look at budgeting from young. Because they need to be able to see the value, what money is all about.
I see.
I give you a fun example. This is a true fact that my daughter is teaching her daughter, who is 6 years old now. So what my daughter did was, like, when she was 3 years old onward, she started a reward system. So if she feed herself her meal, she gets $1. Yeah, and these dollars are not exactly cash exchange, but it's you mark it down. You remember that she made $1. And then if she, because if not, she may not want to feed herself. She wants to run about and then the helper can take care of her, right? So she started to become very enthusiastic because she's earning money, right? That sense of achievement as well. And then if she does a spelling with 100 marks, she gets $1 too. And so when she accumulates up to $20, she get to buy a toy.
She get to buy
a present. Anything she wants.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So initially, earlier on, every time you go to a toy shop, she wants to buy something, but it's parents' money, right? But now that it is her own money, she's a lot more careful about what she chooses to buy. Because she want to have some savings left. So she won't spend her whole $20.
That's good. That's like good.
Like just to give her a taste of the value of money. So by the time she turned 5, her brother was 2 years old. So 2 years old, we haven't started with this dollar thing because it starts at 3, right? So her mom was gonna take her on a cruise holiday, and the mom said it's gonna cost her $100. So she has some credit in her account. She probably have 150 in her account. So she says, oh no, $100, then I only have $50 left. And then what about my titi? and mommy has to say, titi is, less than 3, but he's in minus now. So he has to pay as well. Yeah, he's in debt. So he has to
Wow.
pay as well. So he's got
Yeah.
to earn back when he starts from 3.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah, so to me, it could be a way of a reward system
Mhm.
rather than beating the child with a
Yeah.
rod, you know.
Yeah.
It could be a carrot and stick in a different form.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
see.
where you teach them also the value of money and your choice of spending.
Yeah.
So the same as she's allowed to watch 10 minutes of TV a day.
Mhm.
And if there's a particular day where she says, I'm so bored, I want to watch something, she can pay for it. But it's only 10
Wow.
minutes again.
Wow.
Yeah, it might cost her $2.
Wow, that's so smart.
Yeah.
That's really
So yeah, so it's like, okay, you got to make choices.
Mhm.
It's about making choices. It's
Mhm.
about saving, about spending.
Mhm.
So it's just a very simple game to play, but it's very effective to
Yeah.
get them to learn what is value of
Value
money.
of money. I see. So do you have any final advice for like youths in general on like financial literacy or anything?
Okay. So yes, I think firstly, like I said, do if you don't have financial literacy classes before, do research on it. Yeah, read up a little bit about it, and so that you can learn to decide and plan how do you want to plan your finance as well as your income, how you budget yourself. This is not just important when you're young, but it's really useful when you think, you think retirement is so far away, but you'll be amazed when I look at it back. It's like a blink of an eye. 40 years of working has gone. It's soon retirement time for me as well. And do I have enough to retire?
Yes, you
Right?
do.
So therefore, it's important that you start planning when you're young. And don't let your peers pressure, whatever your friend have, that you must have one as well. Like the latest Nike shoes or the latest Lululemon clothes. But go for some stuff that when you think you deserve it, to reward yourself, but not always chasing
Yeah.
with all your other friends what they need. And make sure that you always save a little bit for your rainy days, and definitely make sure you invest a bit and cover yourself with insurance. And try not to use your credit card.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you are
Always use
not
a
paying
debit
for
card.
yourself. Yeah, use your debit card. It's much, much safer. You control your spending better.
All right. Thank you. Knowledge is so power. That's what I learned today. Thank you everyone for watching.